Hi everybody, my name is Bill Black. I'm the owner of Spirit River and Over the Edge Tackle. What I'm doing here is I'm going to be tying a jig. It's basically a woolly bugger jig, or a Jig-A-Bugger as we like to call it. In essence, we're going to be tying this. It's a jig because it's got the lead head on it. This is an 1/8 ounce. I've got the one that we're going to use here. This is an 1/8 ounce as well. What you want to do is you want to start with any color thread, but normally I try to pick a color thread that matches the overall coloration of the jig. As in all tying, you always wrap over the top. So my first few wraps, I'm headed that direction, and then I'm going to go back. Okay? And that locks my thread in. Now, most people would clip that off. I'm not, because I'm going to save that. I'm going to need it later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my thread all the way back to what's called, well, to the all the way across the shank. We call that the shank right here. It's all the flat part of the hook. This is called the bend. You've obviously got your point and your barb. Normally here, your thread is going to hang right about behind the point a little bit and right around the barb. If you keep going, your thread will start dropping down, and you don't want to do that. You want to try to keep everything up on top of the hook. Okay, so the first thing we want to start with is your Marabou. This is the butt of a turkey. You use the strung Marabou, so it's all been stitched. Holds it all together. Makes it really nice and easy to find a really nice, good, full feather. Holds them all together. This looks like a pretty good feather right here. I'll clip that one out. I'm going to make this, with my right hand I measure it by laying it over the top and seeing where it lies. It goes to about the end of the hook. So I'm going to put it right there. Okay. Next I'm going to grab this. This is very, very key in many, many tying situations. I'm going to secure this on top of the hook. If I try to just wrap it around, you'll see that the thread pushes that Marabou all the way around the hook. That's not what you want. This is a pinch down technique. So you go up, put the thread into your two fingers, come down, and apply pressure on the bottom there. Keep holding it, and you go around a couple more times, and that makes the Marabou stick out the back of the feather. The other thing that's nice here is you can always go forward a little bit because you want a fairly even body. So again, I'm going to cut this so that excuse me, this Marabou is going to be just before that ball, that lead ball. And the reason I do that is to give myself a really nice body that's all nice and even. If you look at this, you're not going to see any real big bumps in it. Next we're going to do is we're going to add a couple pieces of flash. If you buy any kind of our flash materials, they're in a long bag like that, just clip a hole in the top, feed your scissors in, pull a few out. It's a really nice little technique to use. Okay, I'm going to want about 2 or 3. I've actually got about 5 or 6. So I'm going to take a couple out. That leaves me 3. Okay. What we're going to do is we want this tied on the side. And then we're going to swing it around to the back side. Lay that right along the side. I leave it long because you're going to clip it later. Lay that right on the side of the hook. Go around and loose and then tighten it up. That lays that flash material right along the one side of it. Come back over and do it again. So, here we go. Now I've got both those flash materials in my finger, and I go about to the length of the Marabou, maybe just a 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch longer. Okay. Now when that piece that I licked dries, it will flare back out, and you'll see 3 pieces on that side. The next thing I do is we have a whole line of really cool chenilles. This is fluorescent fire orange. I'm going to use the fluorescent pink. It comes on a little bobbin card like that. You can take, you need about 5 or 6 inches of it, maybe even 8. And what I do is, a lot of times people will strip it out and tie it in right here. You can do that, or if you bring your thread back forward, you can tie it in right here. And again, this promotes a very nice, even body. Okay? So now I bring the thread all the way back, and I go around 4 or 5 times. You saw me do that. I'm sorry, I work pretty fast, but right there, and I don't want to interfere with the flash of the Marabou. Okay, I bring my thread back up, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around. And what I do is I try to build just a very slight taper to it. If you'll see, normally it should be just a little bit fatter towards the head, just a little bit. And then I keep pressure on this thread as I go around. It's also important to have your bobbin adjusted properly, and mine is a little loose right now. Go around 3 or 4 times. Okay, grab your scissors, go right down to the nubbins and nip that. And then pull off that extra little chunk there. Next thing I do is I take a package of Chinese saddle feathers. We're going to use this hot pink. I've already pulled it out of the package. Now what you want is, you've got a lot of feathers to choose from here. What are you looking for? Well, you want something with a little bit of length, and you also want something that has the right size barbules on it. And when I say that, that's kind of a mystery to a lot of people, but you select it out and you lay it underneath here and you bend it. And you want these barbules, if you can see that, to be about 1 to 1.5 times this hook gate. So you want the barbules to be right about where they are on this feather. Once you start looking at feathers, you'll be able to size them up pretty quickly. So what you do is, we strip that out. I go back in here, and I go all the way down here by the soft, fluffy Marabou section of this. Clip it. That is where we're going to tie this material in. And you can see I lay this down in front of that eye. I go around about 5 or 6 times. If you can pinch that stem and pull it back and take it a couple more times. That will not come out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back 4 or 5 times. You always want one good full wrap right in front. And I like the look of that little bit of softness, that kind of Marabou look to it. That little piece of thread that I left back there is what you're going to start going around with. And I like to kind of move it around as I go. And what that does is, that locks that feather in place in a lot of different spots on that feather. And then I'll take my scissors, and instead of trying to, I just grab them and just kind of run right down there and nip it. And I throw that thread away. And again, now I've got a couple loose little fibers sticking out over the head. That's where you use these 3 fingers, and you'll pinch them all together, pull it all back, and take 1 or 2 more wraps. All that material is sticking straight back. For sure, this is the time you need to put a little bit of head cement right here, or you can also put cement, which I really like to do, on your thread. Now see that, how it's kind of ganging up on that? And the advantage to that is it'll put glue all the way around that head. You can go around a few times. Actually, you don't really even need to knot it. You know, you can clip it off, or you can do a little whip finish. And the way you do that is you go up between, put your 2 fingers, aim to the ceiling, create a little X, go around, around, around. Pull it tight and always cinch it back. And then instead of clipping it, what I do is I just take my scissors, the sharpness of the blade will just clip that right off. And this is a Jig-A-Bugger, tied by Bill Black at Over the Edge Tackle in Spirit River.